All right, here we are on page 2, the back of the lines and parallel lines and equations test review. So number 10, we start here. Write an equation for a line that goes through the point 4,3 and parallel to slopes. So for all these questions of writing equations, just remember the general idea. You need two things. You need a slope and you need a point. Now, if we're going to be parallel to this equation, they have to have the same slope, right? Because that's what parallel means. So this is, sorry, just 1 second. 1/2. Let's try that again. That's 1/2. And the point you have to go through is -4, -3. And then again, you have a formula for slope intercept. Point slope. There's your point, there's your slope, so just plug it in. Remember, x1, y1. So y minus -3 equals slope times x minus -4. Plus, 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 2 steps. Distribute. This stays y plus 3, 1/2 x plus 2, and then -3, -3. I'm sorry, I realized I just made a mistake before I get too far. That's a +3. This should have in fact been a -3. So actually I'm going to add 3, not subtract it. Pay attention to what you're doing. I make mistakes. You're going to make them too. Because I am smarter than you, more than likely. 1/2 x plus 5 should be your actual equation. Number 11, write an equation in slope-intercept form for a line that passes through -3, 2, and this time perpendicular. So if we're going to be perpendicular, first of all, for our slope, you got to take -1/5, flip it, and change the sign. That's +5. The point is -3, 2. So again, just the same idea. Y minus y1 equals slope times x minus x sub 1. That does become plus plus. Distribute. 5x plus 15. Add 2 to both sides. Y equals 5x plus 17. In the diagram shown above, AB and CD are parallel, and the measure of angle x is 70, and the measure of y is 120. So with the parallel lines here, what we really want, there's a couple things we want to utilize to help us. Excuse me. With these being basically a transversal, and for instance, y being 120, you're also going to get a y20 over here, and by default, you're going to get a 60 right here. I'm sorry. Again, so back to this. So those are alternate interior. This would also technically be consecutive interior, so you get a 60 there. And then with the x, right, the x being 70, same kind of thing here. This is a 70 down here in this corner, and next to it, that would make a 110 over here. So how does that kind of help you out? Well, there's a couple things that you can kind of lead to here. And one of them is inside a triangle. Even though we haven't covered this, you should all know that 3 angles equal 180. So for instance, you have these 70 and 60s here, and you can find this angle. Well, 70 and 60 is 130. 130 from 180 is 50. So this angle is 50 and this angle is 50. How does that now help you get angle Z? Well, this angle and the 50s here are linear pairs. They're supplementary. So 180 minus 50 takes you right back to 130. Yeah, so that's what you'd be getting there for Z. There's a few things you have to combine, but it's not that difficult to get to. That was 12, 13. In the figure, PQ is parallel to AB. I think this originally intended to be more to this problem that we had looked at, but in all honesty, don't overthink this. The parallel lines actually don't even come into play here. AB is a line, that splits it up. This is 82, this has to make 180 with 82. So 180 minus 82 is simply 98. And preferably 98 written nicely. I think there may have been a line missing or something, but that's not your fault, so don't worry about it. Back up to this side as we finish off. Write an equation in slope-intercept form that passes through 2 points. So now they give you 2 points. Now, this doesn't change the fact that we need slope, we need point. You have 2 points to choose from. I don't know why, but 2, -2 seems like an easier one. But how do we get the slope? You should know how to find slope from 2 points. Right? That's x1, y1. That's x2, y2. y2 minus y1 on top. x2 minus x1. Sorry, that's positive 2 here. But x2 minus x1 on the bottom. So that gives you -7 on top. That gives you 5. So your slope is -7/5. Then you're going to do y minus -2 equals -7/5 times x minus 2. And then same process we've done several times already on these pages. This, of course, becomes plus, so y plus 2 equals -7/5 x. I know you don't like fractions, but you do have a calculator. Just remember, fraction times a whole number, you just multiply the top. So -7 times the -2 is plus 14. 5 stays on the bottom. You have to subtract 2 from both sides. And as a fraction with 5 on the bottom, that would mean that you have 10 on top, because 10 divided by 5 is 2. So when you do that, you get -7/5. That's a 5. And then 4 minus 10 is 4 over 5. And that's what your equation should be. Okay. Don't worry about the ugly numbers. You have a fraction, and, maybe the numbers will not be as bad on the test. In the diagram, the measure of angle ABE plus EBC. So ABE is right here. EBC is right here as an angle that makes this thing. It is equal to BCF, which is there, plus FCD, which makes that. Now, I'm going to kind of erase all the pens here. You can see the 2 different angles we're talking about, but I'm going to erase it for a second and redraw this. You have this. You have that. This is a transversal. You can extend these to look like lines. What do those 2 angles, if we ignore BE and CF, ignore those. Sorry, there was a knock at the door. But these 2 angles, if we look at it that way, are alternate interior. And if they are alternate interior, that proves that this line, which is AB, is parallel to this line, which is CD. And that's by technically the converse of the alternate interior angle theorem. But that's basically what you have to know and which lines would be parallel. Finishing this up, name 2 lines that are parallel, state the justification for each answer. So the same type of thing we were just looking at. So what if 2 and 13 are congruent? So if 2 and 13 are congruent, we're ignoring this. That means they are alternate exterior. and that would make P and Q congruent by the converse of alternate exterior. Sorry, that was really ugly writing, but we'll live with it. Number, or I guess question B, not number. Which lines are parallel if 10 is congruent to 15? So now we're ignoring the top here. Those are alternate interiors, and they are congruent, so that would make lines M and N by alternate interior. Which lines are parallel? 4 and 15. We're ignoring that. Those are again alternate exterior, and that would make P and Q. And last, and certainly not least, 14 and 15 are supplementary. So they're not congruent with each other, but 14 and 15 equal 180. Well, we're ignoring this. That means 14 plus 15 equal 180, which is true because they're consecutive interior, and that would make lines M and N by consecutive interior. All right, hope that helps. Look over these, look at the answer key. Please be ready for the test tomorrow. Good luck.